pretty funny how life plays out, isn't it? Like, no bullshit. I actually had an idea of a parody video making fun of basically hate videos. How we, as a community and as gamers, not just in Doom, but abroad, across the entire industry, can kind of go overboard with our reactions, whether it being our expectations being subverted, the games being altered in a way that potentially changes the entire experience, or even small additions put into the game that we're just upset with. And I think that's a golden idea. I'm definitely going to work on that later on in the future, but today, I thought for the sake of this community, we needed a more serious approach. So in case you haven't seen the 5 million videos on YouTube already, some of them for some reason being well over 5 minutes, Doom Eternal now has microtransactions, which naturally has pissed off a lot of people because this game has been said to not incorporate microtransactions. A lot of people are going out of their way to showcase just how much this game has made without microtransactions, so the fact that it's being added in now, or added in at all, is putting the fire in their bellies. But in this video, I wanted to be kind of the voice of reason. You know, people think that I kind of go out of my way to shit on things, but in reality, my content is the opposite. I go out of my way to do the opposite of what people are doing. If they're being wholehearted and they're praising something, then naturally my instinct is to do the opposite. Or if people are criticizing something, then I'm going to do the opposite of that as well. My content is to give a different perspective on everything. A lot of it is more lighthearted, some of it is more serious. That is the whole creative premise of my channel. Whether if you realize that or not, that's a completely different thing, but that is the whole point of my content essentially. So with that being said, we're going to talk about my stance on all this, my thought process, and how we can all still come out of this virtually unscathed. But first and foremost, if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, Doom Eternal now has microtransactions. They're kind of trivial. As of now, only 2 of them have been added. For $4.99, you can get the entire Doomicorn Master Collection, which is the entire unicorn skin that was attached to the Season 1 Twitch Prime event. And then for $8.99, you can get the entire Series 1 cosmetic pack. So I know this is not the proper math, but I just round up like this. For $15, you can get both of these microtransactions, which, to add to the frustration, on top of them saying microtransactions are never going to be in Doom Eternal, these are 2 skins that were free at a time. So now you're being charged for it, and then you're getting a lot of players that are hopping to the Doom Eternal experience quite late. So the only way they can ever get these cosmetics, seemingly, is to drop some extra hard-earned cash, adding to the frustration. I would also say that the amount they're charging for both of these is way too high. Like the entire Series 1 cosmetic pack, I would not pay any more than $2.99. For one skin, even if it is an entire collection, the Doomicorn, in my eyes, no more than 99 cents. It's just a cosmetic, it doesn't alter gameplay in any way. That's way too high, but that's not why people are angry. They're angry that they just exist. Now, first and foremost, I'm very happy people are being vocal about this. Whether you're talking about an entire company, a development team, a group of people, or just one single person, you should be held accountable for the things you say and what you promise. So the fact that people are generating any type of discussion and any type of buzz about this, I think is a good thing. I do think reactions should be proportional to the actions though. Discussion should be where it starts and where it ends. There should not be any review bombing, there should not be any attacking, there should not be anything beyond, hey Id, Hugo, can you tell us what exactly is going on here? Is there a reason behind this stuff being added into the game when we were promised this stuff would never exist? What's the reason here? And does this mean in the future we'll never be able to get this stuff and all the other events and all the other stuff that we missed out? We're gonna have to drop extra money? Why is this here and what does this mean going forward? But then there's also the thing of shifting blame. I've noticed a lot of people blaming Bethesda or blaming Microsoft, which is a good point. It's hard to ignore that after a couple weeks of Microsoft finalizing their acquisition of ZeniMax Studio, Bethesda, and of course all of their intellectual properties, you see microtransactions pop up in Doom Eternal, which is a game that just so happens to be put on Microsoft's Game Pass. So is this, again, it's trivial, it's nothing huge, but is this their way of trying to compensate a little extra money? Honestly, who knows? I would say just don't believe any narrative. Any YouTuber, it's so easy to capitalize on top of hate. Like, I can shit out a hate video and that shit gains so much traction just because I want clicks. It happened with Tag 2. People were upset, people were angry, they wanted a narrative to follow, and you got all these hate videos gain so much traction just because people were upset and they wanted to feel justified. Were they right to feel that way? Yes. Was the reaction the right one? In some cases, no. But you can go the route of Microsoft being greedy. You can also go the route of, hey, maybe with the pandemic putting a strain on them, they are still working from home, they are still working under those conditions. Maybe resources are wearing thin. They're working on battle mode 2.0. They're working on master levels. They are still trying to get out in invasion mode, which I know a lot of people's patience on that is wearing thin. Maybe something as small as these cosmetic microtransactions was a way to kind of give them a little bit of extra resources to support themselves, or to show Microsoft or Bethesda that, hey, they're generating a little bit of revenue, so maybe they can spend a little extra time on this or that rather than pushed onto other projects. Like with Grand Theft Auto, for example, they make so much money in microtransactions that future DLC, future content is given away for free because the microtransactions in essence pays for that shit. Maybe this is their way of kind of hitting that compromise where it's like, damn, we know they don't want microtransactions, we know they're gonna be mad if we try to monetize this game and go back on an earlier promise, but we really need this. So for those of you that want to help, you can shoot a couple dollars our way and get an older skin. But then there's also the thing of, I'm sure a lot of us have been playing this game since day one. A lot of us already have the older events and all the skins. Let's be honest here. Would a lot of you be willing to miss out on a couple weeks of newer content, newer events, newer skins that none of us have for the sake of newcomers to go through season 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth? Would you be willing to let a couple weeks of mini events play through for everyone to come up to speed on all the skins that we already have? And then that brings up the question of how long is that event gonna run? How much XP should be given? Not everyone plays every single day, so if they miss out on this event for the second time, how are they going to get it in the future? Are we really just going to say, well, too bad? I understand people are upset, and like I said earlier, I do love how they're being held accountable. But right now, we're in the stage of, let's talk about this. I think the key word here is transparency. I think the big thing, above all else, is to not subvert expectations. We all expected Tag 2 to be so much harder, and that contributed drastically to the backlash we've seen. We never expected microtransactions to make their way into Doom Eternal, and here we are. We're talking about it because of that very reason. We never expected it to happen. As I previously mentioned, developers use microtransactions to basically fund future projects without having to put out priced DLC. Priorities are a huge thing, resources are a big thing. We don't know what exactly they're working on. As far as what is announced and what's not announced, it was said that Bethesda is still operating independently from Microsoft, so who knows who exactly Idsoftware is answering to between those two, and whether if they do need to show some type of revenue income to really support all the projects that they're working on behind the scenes as far as Doom Eternal goes. Because again, the 1 year pass is over, and a lot of games, once that initial window of expected content expires, then it's kind of a free-for-all. Whatever happens, happens. But I think the best thing is to come forward, give some type of reasoning behind why this happened, discuss some possible alternatives. If there's no alternatives, then the idea of other missed events comes up. Does that mean you're gonna have to pay for those as well? I think pricing expectations should be set if that's the case. I also think a roadmap should be put in place. That way we know what's coming, when it's coming, how it's coming. That way, again, no expectations are subverted. There's no betrayal. There's no lies. There's no deceit. And I was gonna say we should have a say in what's being priced and how it's priced, but let's be honest, that's business. We'll never be given that luxury. All I'm saying is, hopefully, if it's priced, it's priced reasonably. But truthfully, if some type of microtransaction is added due to them wanting to invest more in certain projects and more longevity for Doom Eternal across the board, I would say just be honest about that. I would not mind that at all. I would definitely buy a couple things here and there to support the team and support the game. And I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't mind that either. But expectations have to be properly set. Anyways, to wrap this up, if you got any alternatives, by all means feel free to share that stuff down in the comment section. Right now, like I said, it's all about a conversation. There's no reason to go out of your way to attack Hugo, Idsoftware, blame Bethesda or Microsoft. I'd say just sit back, wait for a response, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, I'm just promoting peace because the whole area around my house is still recovering from the last gender reveal party.